So welcome to my barn. This is Tai here, complete with all of the burrs in his mane. And I have a very small barn here. It's got 5 stalls, one of which is a hay stall. It's actually just a quarantine barn that I've tried to make use of every square inch of. So this is where I keep This is where I keep my tack. We've got some medical supplies over there. This is my overly full blanket rack. I've got them stacked 3 to 4 deep because it's been so cold. Tack trunk filled with even more blankets, fly sheets, stall guards, etc. And then there's some spurs, bridles, nose bands, lunge lines, and those bags there are all full of boots. Down here I also have the day-to-day boots, tack cleaner, grooming kit, bandages. Oh, my cross-country watch fell down. It's the watch that we use to time trot sets and cross-country with. And that lives on there. My helmet. This right here is the cross ties. In here I have hay and shaving storage. Sorry, the sunlight's really bad there. Hay and shaving storage, as well as a few more blankets. And then extra feed and supplements. And my bridles. Scissors, tail comb hanging up. This here is Lily. Lily is a 6-year-old thoroughbred mare. Hi, Chicky. Next to her, we have Habanero. Habby is a 4-year-old warm blood. Hi, Habster. How's it going? Hi, baby. And over here, we have Miss Cadence, who's a 14-year-old warm blood mare. Cute, cute. This is my little feed area down here. And here's my grain bin. And I have the hay cubes under here. Oil. Soap to scrub buckets out with, scrub brush and sweat scraper used to stir feed, all of my supplements and my little feed scoops. My horses are all currently on a grain-free diet, so this is what their feed looks like before beet pulp gets added to it. And I've got the beet pulp soaking over there. And this is the only water source in the barn right here, which is a bit difficult sometimes, but we make do with it. You can see I have all of my electrical appliances unplugged. It's very important to keep them unplugged when they're not in use because that's a big fire risk. I'll go into the stall here. This type of stall setup is lovely because the horses can stick their heads out and be friendly. The downside to it is that, as you can see, the only cross ties in the barn right there are then open to stalls. So you have to watch that the horse in the stall next to the cross ties doesn't reach its nose over and bite the horse in the cross ties in the bum. Hi, Habby. Move. Here we've got our water buckets, all of which, hi, baby, all of which are hung on baling twine so that if a horse ever did rear up and happen to get their foot through something, it'll break and they'll be safe. You can see I just turned the horses in, so they haven't ruined this yet. When I bed my stalls, I leave about a 6-inch perimeter around the edge. And as the horses walk around, they push the shavings out to the edge. And that means that in the morning, I've got a nice even layer of shavings throughout the stall instead of having them all bunched up in one of the corners. We do have automatic waterers in the barn, but they are not currently hooked up. So I just use them to put loose salt in right now. Nobody gets water buckets instead. And the advantage to water buckets is that you can monitor how much a horse is drinking. You just have to be careful that they never run out and that they always stay nice and clean. The other thing I wanted to mention about these stalls is the type of latch. Now, I talked about how the horses can stick their heads out earlier. And the way that these stalls are set up with the open sides and the closed grate over the door is excellent because they can't stick their heads out and open these latches on their own. which is a risk if you have the yoke style doors and that type of latch. I have a lot of horses, like this one here, Cadence, who know how to open those latches and they'll let themselves out. However, with this type of stall design, they can't reach their head far enough over to get to the latch. What you do have to be careful of though, is that this doesn't happen. Because if this isn't shoved back, it's left out like that, a horse can catch themselves on it. They can catch a nostril, they can catch an eye, they can catch a shoulder, and hi Abby, they can get quite seriously hurt. So that's one of the downsides to that type of stall door. You can also see we've got a ventilation system in here, which we're not currently using. I've just got all my windows cracked open right now. And then there's the other part of the ventilation system up there. Sorry, it's really hard to see with the light. I don't know if I can block that. Nope, not really. Okay. Anyway, if you can see that, it's the other part of the ventilation system up there. And there is also a little hay loft right up above the stalls there. However, unfortunately, that's the ladder over here is for. Unfortunately, we can't fit the hay elevator in to get the hay up there. So all the hay is in my hay stall right now. You go right out the barn door here, across the road. That's my manure pile, which is nice and close, but far enough away that we don't get bugs in the barn. And then back over here are where all of my fields are. I've got 6 fields and currently have my horses turned out in 2 groups. The mares are a pair. I've got 2 mares and 2 geldings, so they go out in pairs. And I rotate the horses through the 6 paddocks. We also have the indoor arena over here. And you can't see the outdoor, but it's around there, around the back as well. Hi, Tai Tai. Oh, another thing that I should mention is, hi baby. All of these stalls have built-in wall feeders, but I feed my horses off of buckets on the ground. You can see Ty likes to dump all his dinner out and then eat it off the ground. Don't you? Yeah. Don't knock the phone out of my hand. So I feed my horses in buckets off the ground, and I prefer to do that as opposed to using the wall feeders because they're so much easier to clean. The wall feeders are impossible to keep clean, and since all of my horses get a wet diet, I like to have everything scrubbed out daily. You can see, hi baby, his food is all wet and squishy. Hi Tai Tai. And you can see how gross that bucket is already. That was a freshly scrubbed bucket. He also gets oil in his feed, and if you can't scrub out buckets that are for horses that are fed oil, they get rancid really quickly. Halters set up over here, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's worth pointing out. Cross ties are all attached with baling twine loops. The windows all have bars over them. The bars, the width of them is pretty narrow, which is important so that horses don't get their feet stuck in it. I think that's pretty well everything. Thank you so much for watching this quick little barn tour, and hope you guys enjoy your 4-H meeting. Bye!